NASCAR and its teams are in disagreements about charter discussions for the 2025 season. What does that mean for the 2024 season? And could we see a boycott this weekend at the LA Coliseum? Plus, Riley Herbst is heading to the Daytona 500 in 2024, and SVG is heading over to Colleague Racing for some races in 2024. I'm Alan Bailey, and we're going to break it all down today on Shifting Gears.
High, push it, checker flag, hell yeah!
What's the caution for? Me?
Can they not push it in?
Stop anybody.
Come on, you guys! Way to go, boys! One hell of a job, man, one hell of a job. Thank you so much.
I'm Alan Bailey, and I am out of the studio at the LA Memorial Coliseum here in Los Angeles on a Friday. Welcome on into Shifting Gears. We've got a lot to talk about. As you can see, the racetrack is absolutely beautiful and dry. The sun is out, that's bright, and so far, everything's okay. We'll get you a look at the drainage system and a little bit of a weather update a little bit later on. But before we do that, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you do not miss a video in 2024. And of course, head on over to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I'm loving it, man. Coming back out here, it's just so much fun. It's the third year that we're out here for the LA Clash, the Busch Light Clash, I should say, at the LA Memorial Coliseum. It's my third year coming out here. This is basically in my backyard as I'm born and raised here in Southern California. Los Angeles is my hometown, and there's a lot of discussions on where this event is being held next year, as this is the last year of the contract. Honestly, I can see a 2-year extension being announced this weekend. I could see it being announced going to another racetrack entirely. I know the diehards want to see it return to Daytona, but nobody showed up when it was in Daytona the last few years. It was a wreck fest, and nobody watched. The ratings suffered, so I'm not a fan of Daytona. But let me know in the comments, where would you like to see the LA Clash head in 2025? Leave it down below. In a move that I kind of saw coming, Shane Van Gisbergen, we knew he was going to be with Trackhouse in the developmental pipeline. He's running the full Xfinity Series schedule for effectively Colleague Racing, and I honestly saw this coming. We knew he was going to be making some cup starts, but Colleague and SVG made it official. He's running 7 races in that number 16 for Colleague Racing in the Cup Series in 2024. It made sense. The 16 is in desperate need of sponsorship and drivers for the 2024 season. You got Josh Williams, who frankly threw a temper tantrum in the Xfinity Series, and for some reason that qualifies him to make a Cup Series start in 2024. I don't know. He's going to be racing out here trying to make the main event in that number 16 for Colleague, but I like Shane Van Gisbergen heading over to the 16. I think it fills that hole. It brings some sponsorship, much needed sponsorship dollars over there. I'm hearing that Trackhouse is going to be preparing that number 16 Chevy for those races for SVG, so that kind of works out a little bit better for everyone. And I'm sincerely worried about Colleague. We're going to talk about it in another episode, but Colleague Racing might be down to a one-car organization after this season, honestly, in the Cup Series. We also found out today that Riley Herbst is going to be driving the number 15 for Rick Wear Racing, bringing Monster Energy on board for the Daytona 500 in 2024. I like this a lot. I mean, Riley Herbst stepped it up in a big way in 2023, winning his first Xfinity Series race in a very dominant fashion at his home track in Las Vegas this last October. And then he made some Cup Series starts and honestly impressed a bunch of people in subpar equipment, and kind of what he's going to be doing this year in the 500. He is locked in, as that 15 car is locked in, so taking that pressure off means you can literally go out there and more or less just try to win that race. And man, wouldn't it be wild if we saw Riley Herbst winning the Daytona 500 with Monster Energy in that number 15 for Rick Wear? Yeah, that's a reality we could legitimately see in just a few weeks' time. Speaking of Rick Wear, Kaz Gralla is going to be in the N29 Capital Partners number 15 out here at the Clash this weekend. This is a sponsor that's kind of bounced around the Truck Series a lot with a handful of drivers, including Gralla. So honestly, cool that they're making the jump up into the Cup Series. I'm hearing that Rick Wear is still looking for sponsorship for a handful of races. So this kind of fills that void and helps out that organization a little bit. We also found out that Justin Haley is going to be in the number 51 Walmart Ford for Rick Wear out here at the Clash. And again, Rick Wear is essentially going to have a different sponsor every week, or a rotation of sponsors every week, but it's kind of the reality here in 2024 for the NASCAR Cup Series. So this is a tricky situation, and I'm kind of watching my back as I talk about this here at the Coliseum. NASCAR teams have unanimously voted and agreed to not extend 2025 charter talks with NASCAR. Yikes. What does this mean? Effectively, the deadline was originally December 31st, 2023. That came and went. They extended those talks to January 31st, 2024. That came and went a few days ago, and effectively everybody walked away. Technically, the teams can go to other race organizations and shop their charter agreements and their rights in order to basically take the series to other promoters' hands. I don't really see that happening under any circumstance, because who's really going to be able to put on a show like NASCAR does? And I'm not kissing butt here because I'm standing in a racetrack owned by NASCAR technically this weekend. I'm simply saying NASCAR owns a majority of these racetracks. They know how to put on a good show, and they already know how to do the back-end administration, business side of things in order to put on a good show. They have TV rights already lined up with some big-name sponsors, and money's coming in from that for the 2024 season and 2025 and beyond. So if I'm team owners, why? There's really nothing to benefit here. I don't want to say it's a hollow threat, but it's kind of a hollow threat. The ones who were kind of in charge and taking charge of the negotiations is Joe Gibbs Racing President Dave Alpern, RFK President Steve Newmark, 2311 investor Curtis Polk, and then Hendrick Motorsports Vice Chair Jeff Gordon are the ones who have been spearheading this discussion with NASCAR through the Race Team Alliance group. And I do think that they do have the best interest of these teams and their organizations in mind, while simultaneously trying to be fair to NASCAR. And I think for the most part, everybody's being fair, but everybody thinks, oh, billions of dollars went to NASCAR with this TV deal. NASCAR's being greedy. Not the case. To put this event on costs a lot of money. To get everything out here, to front up the bill just for the prize money alone, that's a lot of money. And you talk about insurance, utilities, paying every single person who's here, essentially, bringing in media members. It's a large task. I know I worked at a small racetrack here in Southern California, and I did what NASCAR does on an extremely smaller scale, and I dealt with it and I see it. So I really sympathize with NASCAR and with the teams, because I've worked with small race teams too. So I see both sides of the coin on this. I do think that they're going to get a deal done. Insiders are saying that the deal is, quote, likely months away, unquote, but that the deal should be coming about in the next few months here, if not weeks. And honestly, the sooner this gets done, the better for everybody involved in NASCAR. Particularly, it's better for the race teams, because as soon as they get this buttoned up, they can go ahead and start making plans for the 2025 season. I know a lot of people are already talking about 2025 and which drivers are going where. That's a whole nother video and a whole nother discussion. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think about the negotiations for 2025? Let me know in the comments down below. Speaking of the comments down below, we have the mailbag. Honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of the show this season, because it allows us to kind of interact with you guys, let your voices be heard, besides just the comment section below. So any comment that shows up on any video that you leave in 2024 goes into literally the same mailbag, and I have it right here on my phone. So we're going to start with Henry. Short track racing will not last in California. I'm a super speedway fan. I saw Ontario and Riverside demolished, all for what? I hear you. I really do. But the simple fact of the matter is that Southern California, Los Angeles, is extremely desirable. It's one of the hottest real estate markets in the country and on the planet, for that matter. And Fontana just got too valuable. It really did. And a lot of people are upset that Auto Club / California Speedway in Fontana, the 2-mile configuration, was demolished. And I look at it this way. I remember that track in the 90s and early 2000s when it was a fuel mileage. We only got one caution pre-stage racing kind of racing, and I did not enjoy it. The fuel mileage was interesting. I remember Jeff Gordon winning on a fuel mileage strategy in 2004. I was there. It was also like 110 out and heat stroke galore throughout the grandstand. So I didn't really like the 2-mile configuration at first, and then as it aged, it got significantly better. And I do think that the short track is the way to go, because it's a smaller footprint for NASCAR to maintain in the Southern California area. And we see Irwindale thriving. Orange Show Speedway is also in San Bernardino, is also in operation. It's been there for 77 years now. Paris Speedway is a dirt track a little bit south, closer to San Diego, but that's also thriving as well. So there's room for short track racing in Southern California. It's just, frankly, Ontario, Riverside are both desirable markets. And yes, in 20 years, probably San Bernardino, Paris, Irwindale Irwindale, those tracks will probably be in desired land areas too, especially Irwindale. We don't really know what's happening with the land there, and we're still kind of waiting and seeing what the landowner does once the current lease agreement's up. But honestly, I do think that they're in it for the long haul. We heard today from sources that the new half-mile conversion of the California Speedway in Fontana is about 12 to 14 months away, and that's what I've been hearing too, meaning that it could be opening realistically mid-2025. Does that mean that we're going to see it in the playoffs in late 2025 or even the season finale in 2025 or 2026? Maybe. I've heard from insiders within NASCAR that there was an interest to make that the championship race. I love what NASCAR did out at Phoenix. I love that racetrack from just a facility standpoint. It was recently redeveloped, I should say, and renovated, and it's beautiful. And according to NASCAR, that's the plan for all NASCAR tracks. But that was a multi-million-dollar renovation, and that's expensive and only getting more expensive. So NASCAR's doing this wisely. They don't want to put themselves in a position where they could go bankrupt by upgrading every single track in 1 year. They're doing it kind of one track at a time so that in 5-10 years, every track will be up to date and updated as needed, which is the smart business thing to do. And not every racetrack needs to be bulldozed and renovated and updated. Some facilities are just fine as they are. And Auto Club was aging. Let's just say it opened in '97 and it needed those upgrades. So NASCAR is really taking their time and getting this right, and I applaud them for that. How practical would Irwindale have been as a class location? Bear in mind, I'm completely unfamiliar with the proximity, traffic patterns, etc. I just know Irwindale used to put on a great show when late model races were televised. Excellent question. As somebody who lives here, who has called races as the track announcer at Irwindale, I'll tell you, on-track racing, phenomenal. Oh my gosh, it would put on an amazing clash. However, the track only holds about 10,000 people, give or take, and let's say you bring in 40,000 seats, which is a big, massive ask. Where are all those cars going to go? The parking lot at Irwindale cannot accommodate that many cars. It certainly cannot. Honestly, that's the biggest problem. As far as traffic patterns, it's located right off of the freeway, so that's not really an issue to get in and get out. Parking and the amount of seats are the problem. The facilities have been well maintained and well upkept ever since that track opened in the 90s. So honestly, I think it would put on a great show, but yeah, you can't exactly quadruple the seating capacity at Irwindale and then put all those cars for all those people somewhere. So that's the unfortunate hang-up. And never mind the fact that there's really not a whole lot of room in the press box. The press box can, and I'm being generous here, maybe accommodate 100 people, if that. And then there's no sponsor suites, etc. So that's unfortunately the holdup. But I would love to see a cup race there, or an Xfinity or a truck race. Just unfortunately, I don't ever see that happening. But it would be pretty damn cool if it could. His dad paid her off to be quiet. Cody, he belongs at your local short track, not in NASCAR. This is in reference to Cody Wear and that whole situation. Yeah, if you go watch our video on that one that got put out, I want to say it was last week, Cody Wear's father, unfortunately, filed a lawsuit against Cody Wear's alleged victim, alleged ex-girlfriend, and all of a sudden she didn't want to testify, and because of that, there was no evidence, so the case was thrown out of court, and Cody Wear is eligible to race in NASCAR again. Honestly, I sincerely hope that he gets the help that he needs. He's opened up before about his own mental health struggles, and as somebody who's dealt with their own mental health issues, I hope he gets the help he needs. But it sounds like some of his Cup Series starts, he was potentially looking at 10, are going to Riley Herbst, at least the Daytona 500, and a few of those starts are. And I'm hearing that they're having issues finding sponsors for Cody. Not a big surprise, but he's going to be racing the Mazda MX-5 Cup full-time for his father, which honestly, I think he could do well in, but he's still the dive bomb king, so I'm a little worried about that. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, you can go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. I'm excited for the race out here this weekend. Let's talk about the weather for a brief second, and I'm going to go ahead and put this graphic up on the screen. It's the one that I'm going to be looking at here. You could see Saturday, 0% chance of rain out here at the Coliseum, but unfortunately Sunday, right around the time that the Clash is supposed to start out here, about a 60% chance of rain locally, which really sucks. With rain potentially starting around noon, it's going to be a little difficult to see if we get this race in, and that's as of Friday around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Monday, unfortunately, doesn't get that much better. It goes down to about 30% chance around noon local time on Monday, and then it's a bit of a mixed bag on Tuesday, and then Wednesday it's all clear. So we're hearing mixed things. We're hearing that it's going to take about 2 hours to dry the track and get the Clash in if it does rain this weekend on Sunday in particular. So I do think that NASCAR is going to try to get this race in on Sunday. That's ideal for everybody, obviously, but I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, it depends on what the weather pattern does the next couple of days, but Sunday night is when this new storm is supposed to come in. We just had one that rolled in and out, and NASCAR and the engineers that built this racetrack did a great job of building in drainage. I got an up-close look at that, and here's a photo of some of the drainage up close, because remember, the entire racetrack was built up in order to really help accommodate everything that fans need in order to get a good view of the racing out here. So I don't know. It's kind of we're going to have to wait and see what Mother Nature has in store, but rain tires are here. Windshield wipers and mud flaps are not on the car. So light rain, a little bit of moisture on the track will be fine. But if we see a steady torrential downpour, not so much. So fingers crossed, we're going to see what happens. The track is open on Saturday, free of charge. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, you're thinking about coming on out, come on down, because when was the last time you got into a sporting event for free at the LA Coliseum? And oh, by the way, at a NASCAR track? It's never really happened before. So it's a great opportunity to come out and watch the heat races. The heat races are for sure going to get in, but the LCQ, the NASCAR Mexico race, and the actual Clash on Sunday, a little bit questionable for Sunday. But we're going to hold a positive thought. What's the old saying? Prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and we'll just see what happens. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't done it already, make sure that you mash that subscribe button. We talk NASCAR multiple times a week with multiple videos giving you the latest news from inside sources. As you can see, we're also trackside at a handful of races whenever NASCAR comes out to the West Coast. And of course, we do race recaps as well the Monday after every single race. So this is kind of your one-stop shop for all things NASCAR. So make sure that you mash that subscribe button. And of course, if you want to keep up with all things motorsports, not just NASCAR, make sure that you go ahead and log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I want to thank you so much for watching from the LA Coliseum in Los Angeles. I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you this weekend at the track.